Hey there, friends. It looks like we are live according to YouTube's little notifications over there. They just told me you are live. So I am going to wait for a couple of you guys to get in here into the room. We are coming to you live from my, goes a neighbor. We're coming to you live from my driveway this week. And as always, I'm trying to bring up on my iPad so that I can visit with you guys. On my iPad. And let me turn the volume down so I don't get a whole bunch of slap back on that. But I would like to be able to visit with you guys as far as comments and all that. For some reason, I don't see them on here. Again, guys, welcome. I see a bunch of you guys are climbing in the room. So I'm trying to find, and usually I have the comments in here very, very visible. Here we go. So I can give you guys a shout out. Okay, here we go. You hear my son in the backyard yelling. I apologize if it's too distracting. Again, those of you that know me, I do have a special needs little boy, and he's very vocal. And usually seems to be more vocal whenever I'm going to record. Welcome everybody. I guess when I say good night, it's like saying good morning. Good night to everybody. Good evening to everybody. I don't know what that noise was. Let's see. Matthew Turner, welcome. E-Rock, Andrew Dalton Ray, John Pateley, Daniel Waters. Brian Formed, get ready, man, get ready, tag E Treddy. I hope I didn't mess that up. It doesn't sound like your God-given name, so it's probably not too bad. Tim Holmes, John Jenkins, welcome to all of you guys. And I'm trying to get in here, sounds like them crotch rockets are going to town. Matt Hatfield, CV Peckham Parabellum, and Jerry Hargett so far. Again, guys, I am Paul Glasgow, Legally Owned America. This is our Friday night live thing. I would like to give a very quick shout out to some sponsors that really, they do make things happen for us. And real quick, would like to definitely give a shout out to, you probably have seen these guys in your Academy Sports and probably Cabela's. These are the Drago gear guys. They are a big sponsor of ours. The sad thing is when they became sponsors of ours, I was already a customer of theirs, and what I mean by a sad thing is now they give us free stuff, and I already own probably $150 worth of bags from them. So now I have $150 worth of bags that I already owned, and they gave me some more. So let's see. I'm trying to see the rest of you that are coming in here. Dan Quicksot, Brian, I already talked to Brian. Gary Paredes. I know I'm probably mispronouncing that. Anyway, guys, let's get right into some things. Yeah, again, I hear my son yelling in the backyard. I'm just wondering if my wife might go tell him to kind of keep it down a little bit. I apologize if that gets too distracting to you guys. As you guys know, we are in the midst of another shooting down in Santa Fe, Texas, not too far from here, probably about 3.5 hours from where I sit. As expected, and as we always talk about, the same thing happens all the time, where we are sitting here expecting the same. I guess both sides, I guess, expect something different every time there's a shooting. I expect all of the talking that I do in between these shootings when nobody else seems to want to talk. And hang on a second, guys. I'm getting a message. Let's see. Anyway, I think what we do is we get to the point where we actually think that what we have been talking about during this whole gap in between shootings, or killings or whatever, we think that we're getting through. Because I think sometimes as the rhetoric from the left goes down, because really they only care when there's a large body count. So I think we kind of get fooled into thinking that when their rhetoric kind of goes away because they stop being so emotional about things, and when the left's not emotional, they don't care. You know, people die every single day, probably every hour in Chicago, and they don't care. It's not, they really don't care. If they care, they do something and they talk about it. They would make bumper stickers and t-shirts. They don't do it. They don't care about Chicago and other metropolitan areas where they're killing each other by the record numbers. So again, my point is, I think we fall into this trap that, okay, the left's not talking about guns, so maybe we got through to them. That's not the case. Again, like I said, it's only when there's warm bodies laying on the ground that they actually care about, because that's whenever they can take advantage of the emotion of the American people also. So anyway, I think that, you know, we're back to where we always are. We've got the left that's talking about guns. The crazy thing is, and I guess we all knew this would happen sooner or later. You know, I will say this, and I mean this. The left wants there to be a high body count. I know that sounds crude and that sounds like it's kind of rough, and it's probably hard for some of you to even hear. I mean this from my heart. I do believe the left cares about body counts. The more the body count is, the more they think they can push their left-leaning agenda that's anti-gun. They do want more dead bodies. I'm sorry, guys. I truly, in my deepest of heart, believe the left prefers a bigger body count when there's a shooting. I truly believe that. I also think it matters to them who's killed. When children are killed, they care more. When 26 people, was it 26 people killed in Texas in a church? First of all, it was a church. Some liberals actually said, this is not me assuming that they might have said this, some liberals actually said good for them, or that's not the exact words they used, but made some real, you know, snide remarks that they were in a church, so what good did praying do you? That kind of, you know what I mean? I mean, that's how the left is. They're very snarky about things like that. And they actually were saying things like that when people were killed in a church. So the left, for the most part, I know there are some good people on the left. I really don't mean to generalize all of them, but a lot of them really, and I apologize for the glare, guys. I mean, that's the sun starting to set over here. Let me try to get rid of that. A lot of them are more concerned with the type of person who is murdered. In my opinion, I care about everybody. I honestly do. I care about babies that are aborted. I care about old people that die. I care about young people that die. I care about young people who are killed. I care about old people who are killed. The left really only cares about, because it makes a really great bumper sticker, the left really only cares whenever people under the age of 17 are murdered. And they need to be murdered with a gun, and they need to be murdered in a place that seems like suburban America. They need to be murdered in a suburb area, not inner cities. If somebody walked into a Baltimore high school and killed everyone inside, the left would only care what gun was used. That's really all they would care about, because they honestly don't care about the people that were killed. The left really doesn't care about inner city people killed. They honestly don't, guys. You show me an anti-gun leftist who is standing on a platform of trying to protect the little 5-year-old kids that are blown away on the streets of Chicago, and I will show you a decent person. That's not happening. Honestly, I could get behind someone that stood up for those kids. Now, I'm not going to get behind their anti-gun rhetoric and their anti-constitutional rhetoric, but I could get behind that person as being a legitimately good person. To me, they show their true colors and that they're horrible people whenever they don't say anything about the little babies that are killed. I'm not talking about abortion. That's a totally different subject. They're not talking about the babies that are shot in Chicago, but they care somehow or another about a kid in Santa Fe, Texas. Look, that's a red state. That's another thing they're trying to do. They're trying to grab and act like they care so they can get a few more of those votes in a red state. They're trying to make, Texas supposedly is on the verge of turning purple, they say, and eventually blue. I don't see that happening, but it possibly could. They are for those of you that don't know, they're our neighbors. I am here in Louisiana. So nevertheless, guys, here we are again, you know, and I know the left is saying the same thing. Here we are again with a school shooting. No one's addressing anything. And I don't mean guns. It doesn't take a genius to realize that guns are not the problem. Yeah, the left talks about that, but I really don't think the left is that stupid. I think the left knows that guns are not the problem. Obviously, that's a platform that they have to run on or they won't get reelected. Look, it's sad, but the left and the right only care about being reelected. I truly believe, again, in my heart, I believe this, I honestly believe this, that there's probably not anybody in Washington, D.C. that really cares about you and I. I really believe that way. I think that there are some people that get to Washington, D.C., and they have a desire to help people. They really feel like they're going there to champion a cause and to make a difference. I believe when they get there, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Paul Ryans, all those people go in there to their brand new freshman office, close the door and say, hey, look, I appreciate the platform you ran on, and it's great. You want to make some changes? But let me explain to you how things really work around here. Next thing you know, those people are no different than any of the other clowns in Washington, D.C. So I truly believe Republicans and Democrats and independents in Washington, D.C., I think they're all corrupt. I think the moment they are elected, they are now running for re-election. The day after they are elected the first time, they are now running for re-election. Because, I mean, let's face it, they get more vacations than a teacher gets, way more vacations than a teacher gets. It's like probably 10 times the vacation that teachers get. They get a ton of money. They get to bribe people. They get to accept bribes. I mean, what other office can you have people legally accepting bribes to do their job? A lifetime health care, not the garbage that you try to force on us, but they get really good health care. I mean, it's a cake job. So nobody from the left that talks about guns is really in it for the people. They're in it because that's the line they have to toe on the left. Now, we've seen a different view of the people on the right over the last probably at least year. The guys on the right who were supposed to be on our side, and when I say our side, I'm speaking from the Second Amendment, they're not. They're really not. I think that we have fewer guys supporting us. Let me tell you something, my exact feelings, and I'm going to tell you, this is truly how I feel. Had we not gotten Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, I would be really worried right now. He is a staunch conservative. I do believe that he is going to support whatever we put forth in the Second Amendment. I think he's a fair person. So I think that even though he is a conservative, I do feel like he's going to make the right move no matter what when it comes to the Second Amendment. So with that being said, I have a sense of feeling okay from a Second Amendment standpoint, because I do feel like all these turncoats on the right who are supposed to be supporting us, you know, when their constituents and their voters in some of these states out there where they're not really sure and they're a little bit further, I hate to pick on some of the other states, but we're in the South, we're pro-gun. As long as I'm alive, I think we will remain pro-gun as far as the overall in the state. I know we have our hot spots where we have garbage in this state that are anti-gun, but for the most part, we're pro-gun down here. And I believe that some of those other states, they do have anti-gun people or people who are sympathetic to the anti-gun cause that still may vote conservative sometimes. And those people are starting to really cater to them. So when you see a child get murdered and the left is over here chanting and telling you how much you're supposed to now care because it's a child that was killed versus a regular, an adult or somebody like that, then sometimes these conservatives start to see that as, man, you know, I'm going to lose a couple of voters. There's a possibility. Maybe I got a primary coming up and, you know, I've got a stronger primary candidate that still may be a Republican, but maybe they're going to take that slant, that angle. Because we saw that after the Parkland shooting. We saw these guys come out and we saw them start talking about, you know, anti-gun measures. We saw them talking about, including Trump. We saw them talking about people under the age of 21 not being able to purchase AR-15s or guns in general. We saw that. We saw them, what was the other thing? AR-15s. There were conservatives out there that actually hinted at maybe we don't need AR-15s. They fall into this stupid trap with these word games that it's a weapon of war for some reason when it's clearly not. I mean, again, I'm not being facetious. It's just not a weapon of war. It's stupid. There's not one Marine or Army soldier that's going to grab what we have as an AR-15 and go to war with it. They don't want it. They want what they've got, which is a weapon of war. So I think we've got the danger of the right in Washington being just as corrupt and just as purchasable. At some point, Michael Bloomberg's money is going to start landing in the pockets of people on the right. You know, the NRA gets a lot of knocks for being this huge lobbying group and paying a lot of the conservatives. No one ever mentions the Bloomberg money and all the other money on the left that these same people are making as much, if not more, to promote anti-gun agendas. Don't be surprised if some of that anti-gun money doesn't make its way across the aisle and start going into the rights, into the conservative guys' pockets. Do not be surprised. If you looked now, I would be willing to bet that there's some Bloomberg money making its way into some conservative pockets right now. I really believe that. So my point to you is, I don't think we have anybody really on our side, so we have to understand how the game is played. And the way the game is played is you have to make these people think they're about to get voted out. Whether it's a Democrat or a Republican in your area, you need to be vocal. You need to let them know. And I think phone calls are the way to go. You need to give them a bruising phone call. I don't mean an ugly phone call. I mean one that's firm. And they will not hang up on you unless you get belligerent and start cussing at them. So you have them for as long as you want to stay on the phone. Call them and be firm with them and tell them you better not step on my Second Amendment rights. And explain to them that you know what you're talking about and you're not some hillbilly bumpkin, that you know your rights and you know what these people need to do to protect your rights. And you expect that of them or you will vote them out. You need to tell them that. Emails, I'm not really a fan of the emails because, as I've said before, many times the emails, it's so stupid and ridiculous how Congress has set up their system for complaining to them. It's so canned, it's so automated now. You go on anybody's website. I think they all use the same companies to set their little websites up. You have to click down when it comes to what your topic is that you want to talk to them about. You have to click a drop-down menu and you have to pick what your item is that you want to talk about. It's going to be, I think, Second Amendment is going to be one. You might go in there and tell them all the problems you have with health care, how your child has a problem, like we've done. We've mentioned that, you know, there's nobody's looking out for the middle class people that have special pre-prepared letter from that senator or that congressman that says, Paul, thank you for your letter. We care about all people and all healthcare benefits, and we are working hard for the American people to give you the right benefit. It's got nothing to do with my letter. It's simply a canned, prepared letter that everybody else gets that clicks that same drop-down menu item, and the guy that I sent it to, the congressman or senator, has never read it. It's his office. It's a pre-prepared, automated email that I get, and no one ever hears my cause. So my point to you is, yeah, there's probably a ticker somewhere that's counting how many emails they get about a particular topic. But as far as what they hear and the specifics about it, nobody hears anything about it. It falls on deaf ears. Not even falling on deaf ears. It goes through a freaking email chain. I would pick up the phone. I know a lot of us are desensitized today and we don't really, and we're all guilty of it, but fewer and fewer of us actually pick up the phone and call and have a conversation with anybody these days. Because for one, we're also busy. It's easier to text or email. So that's usually what we use as our default means of communication. But honestly, guys, in terms of letting these guys know how you truly feel, let them hear the sound in your voice. Let them hear how badly you feel the need to be able to protect your family and your home, your belongings and all that. Let them know how you feel. They need to hear that in your voice. That's not conveyed through an email. So call them, let them know. And you tell their aides who are going to pick the phone up, this message needs to get back to my senator, my congressman. Let them know. I will call back. I know the people that, one of my congressmen down here, the lady that answers the phone, her name's Teresa. I know her by name now. I call them all the time. So Yes, call them, guys. I know it's our least favorable means of communication with people these days, but when it comes to those clowns in Washington, D.C., that's the only way to talk to them. You got to talk to them. You have to let them know. You have to be specific to them, and it's not going to happen through an email. So that's my, I guess, diatribe so far. I apologize for being so long-winded on that, but I feel firm about it because I feel like with these school shootings, what's happening is these people are going to begin to cave. The people that's supposed to be on our side, they are going to begin to cave to these anti-gun people out there, because if they don't hear from us enough, they're going to hear from the anti-gun ones. The anti-gun ones are going to be vocal. They're being pushed on their side to be vocal to our congressmen and senators. So if we don't counter that by being equally vocal or louder, we're going to have a problem. And these people's only goal, I'm talking about the politicians, is to be reelected. And if they feel that the majority of their constituents want them to vote or be a certain way when it comes to being anti-gun, they're going to do that if they feel like that's what it's going to take to get reelected. So we've got to understand that we can't be silent on this. We've got to be vocal about it. And I know a lot of you guys are probably getting tired of hearing that, you know, because everybody says, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, but we have to. We honestly do, because the left is going to do their part. I will say this, and I've always said this: the Democrats and the left in general, the progressive liberals, they know how to get the word out. They know how to do things. When they assemble, they usually assemble pretty good. Now, I'm not talking about their anti-gun rally at the NRA convention where there were 87,000 pro-gun people and 15 anti-gun people. That's not what I'm talking about. They're pathetic when it comes to their little anti-gun rallies. I mean, it's cute. Yeah, you know, you kind of want to pat them on the head like a little dog. But in general, nationwide, when it comes to a particular topic, they mobilize pretty good. We don't do a good enough job of it. I know it has a lot to do with more of us are working on our side, and more of us have you know, families and other things that we're doing that keep us busy, instead of just sitting around on a couch and, you know, bitching about things. But we've got to do a better job. We honestly do, y'all. Midterms, we're probably going to lose midterms. Not because I'm losing confidence, but because it just usually happens. When we lose those midterms, we are going to get things in Washington, D.C. that are going to be extremely anti-gun thrown at us. What's going to happen is, if we lose those midterms and have more of the anti-gun liberals that are in office, now they're going to be able to pass things in the House and the Senate. One thing I've often said about Trump, and it was very obvious, after the Parkland shooting, that Donald Trump is exactly how I described him from the get-go. I believe Donald Trump leans right, but I don't think he is a conservative. I think Donald Trump is such a people pleaser, and sometimes it works in your favor, but he's such a people pleaser that if he gets the feeling that the majority of people want an anti-gun law to pass, I think he will back that. So if we lose the midterms and an anti-gun law makes it to Donald Trump's desk, and he feels like he's going to satisfy more people with being anti-gun, I believe he will pass that. I really do. I honestly do. Now, we do have the Supreme Court, thankfully, that if there's an anti-gun law passed, hopefully enough people would get together and we would eventually push it all the way up to the Supreme Court. That should happen if Donald Trump fails to be the Second Amendment supporting as he says he is. But perfect example of what I'm saying, when Donald Trump sat in that meeting with, who's the little clown? Dianne Feinstein sat next to him, and she was just all giggly because Donald Trump was saying all kind of cool anti-gun stuff, and she was all happy. So Donald Trump proceeds to say, I don't care about due process. We'll take the guns and we'll worry about due process later on. Donald Trump said that. Now, his office, and they all retracted it within days. They retracted it and walked it back and kind of tried to explain that that's not what he said. But that's what he said word for word. It's not like we had to figure out what he meant. That's what he said. So that was an obvious indicator that Donald Trump felt like that's what the American people wanted to hear, so he said it. And if he wouldn't have gotten blowback, he would have pushed that. He would have pushed for that. But he got blowback, so he backed off of it. So my point again is that we have to be vocal about it. Because as long as Donald Trump thinks there's enough of us out here that don't support those anti-gun ways, maybe he will remain on our side. But the moment that Donald Trump feels like we all want what the left wants, Donald Trump is going to follow what they want. Donald Trump is not a principled person. I do not think Donald Trump really cares about the Second Amendment. I think Donald Trump feels like, hey, as long as he can have a gun and as long as he's protected by guns, I don't think he really cares whether we have them or not. I don't think he cares if we do have them. I don't think he cares if we don't have them. It doesn't affect him. He doesn't care. But if more of us like him, because Donald Trump likes to be liked, if more of us like him because he supports pro-gun measures, then I think Donald Trump will support us. But again, if he feels like more of us are liking the anti-gun moves and procedures and, you know, things that are being proposed, I feel like Donald Trump will lean that way. Prove me wrong. I mean, I just feel that way. I've always felt that way about Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is, and in a good way, very transparent. You know what you got with Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump is a mystery. You know, I don't think you have to try to figure the guy out. I think he's pretty obvious. What you see is what you get, which is good because then you know how to approach him. So I have to say this, and I mean this, just like most conservatives do that say this. My heart does go out to the families in Texas. I cannot imagine what they're going through when they lose a child. When your child goes off to school and they don't come home. You know, guys, I can't even put myself in that kind of position. I have lost, you know, people that were close to me. And in many cases, it's predictable. You know they're either sick or whatever. Even when I lost my mom, you know, she wasn't sick, but she was at that age where, you know, I knew that I would be losing my mom any day. I cannot imagine sending my child to school, dropping him off, and, you know, finding out within hours of dropping him off. First of all, that feeling that there was a shooting at the same school where he's at. And then you probably start thinking in your own mind, you know, okay, what are the odds of that being my kid? Oh, no, there's 1,400 kids there. It can't be my kid. You know, that would be, you know, surely it's another kid. From a percentage standpoint, it's a very small chance that it would be my kid. Then you find out it's your kid. You know, I mean, I don't care if these families were anti-gun or pro-gun. I really feel for them, guys. I cannot imagine that. You know, I have literally tried to put myself in those places before, and I immediately try to get out of my mindset of thinking about that because it's so hard to think about, you know, thinking that you're going to not ever see your child again. You know, what about, and I'm not trying to make this into a drama thing, but you know what? Think about it this way. What if that parent, what if one of those parents who lost a child today had an argument with that kid? You know what I mean? What if you know they were arguing when they dropped them off for school or when the kid left for the school bus and, you know, the parent said something ugly to the kid or something like that, you know, and now they'll never see that kid again. You know, I feel like us on the right, I really feel like we have good, strong, healthy consciences. And I think we all want the right thing. And I think that's why it's so disgusting to us whenever people start attacking the Second Amendment. And that, honestly, y'all, they attack us. They generalize us, like every one of us, whether we are NRA members or just proud gun owners. They attack all of us. They throw us all in the same category and say that we all support children dying and we want children to die. You know, I'm not a violent person, but it makes me want to slap one of them in the face when they say that. Because you are attacking my character. And I truly believe that I'm a very compassionate and good person down to the bone. And I care about people in general. And it frustrates me that they don't think enough of us whenever we feel compassion towards them. And that's just sad. That's just extremely sad. And, you know, again, my heart goes out to these families, these poor kids that were shot and killed. You know, at some point, our legislators, our school systems, they have to put forth the right foot. They have to quit playing the game that it's guns. That they really do. I mean, let's think about it, and let's be real serious here, guys. I understand that a Democrat has to be anti-gun. They're told they have to be anti-gun. Whether they truly are or not, they have to toe that line. But if they continue down this road of being anti-gun, they're not accomplishing anything. The first thing and the easiest thing to do would be a metal detector in these schools. Answer me this, and I don't know the real answer to this, but I think I do. I just don't have the facts to it. Do you know of a school shooting where there were metal detectors at it? Has a child ever been killed in a school where the shooter walked through a metal detector? I don't know the answer to that, but I bet you I do. I'll bet you the answer is no. I'll bet you that no school shooter has ever walked through a metal detector before killing anybody. It's just a hunch. Now, you have people on the left because they're mad because when you bring that up, it makes too much sense. It makes way too much sense. So they immediately say, we don't want our schools to be like prisons. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me vote on this. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You know, you don't talk for me. I do want my school to be just as protected as a prison. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I would be very much okay with you treating my school where my child goes. I would be very much okay with you keeping it as secure as a prison. I can't walk in the front door of a prison and start shooting people, but you can at a school. What's wrong with this picture? Does you ask, I tell you what, why don't you poll the children? I'm not talking about the ones that the left has already gotten to and paid anti-gun money to. You ask a standard child that walks through the door of a school, hey son or girl, if we put armed guards at the front door and we made sure that nobody got into this school unless they were supposed to, would you be okay with that? Yes, sir, I would be. Unless a child has been gotten to by an anti-gun person and they're told to say a certain thing, I am willing to bet that unless they're a flag-burning, idiot, they're all going to think the same way. If you really care about your own life, how stupid would you be to not want an armed guard at the front door, the back door, the side door, metal detectors everywhere? You realize how much peace of mind you would have? Ask these kids in Washington, D.C., and these kids around that go to these schools that are in these high crime areas. Those kids don't get shot. They're in these massively huge high crime areas where people could care less about the value of life, and nobody ever has a school shooting in those places. As bad as Chicago is, as much as people over there murder people without even thinking twice, they don't have school shootings. Which brings me to the point of the very fact that there was almost a school shooting in Chicago. Guess what happened? Somebody with a gun intervened and stopped it. Where's that on the news? It's pathetic that in the same week, we have somebody in Chicago, a liberal hotbed, that goes into a school to shoot the school up. Their sole purpose was to shoot the school up. Somebody stops them before they have a chance to kill anybody, and the left is completely silent about it. But yet a person walks into another school and kills 10 people in it, and it's all over the news. The left will never hail a hero that stops a school shooting, but they will always complain and cry and whine about someone that shoots up a school and actually kills somebody. The left really doesn't care about people. They really don't. I'm sorry, guys. They honestly don't. And the right's fallen for it too. The same, again, like I said earlier, the people on the right who were starting to support these causes of the left, these anti-gun causes of not wanting somebody under the age of 21 to purchase a gun, they don't care about people either. Look, when Marco Rubio said that he would be open to listening to the possibility of not allowing a 20 or younger to purchase an AR-15, you know why I believe Marco Rubio doesn't really care about people? It's because he's not thinking about that 20-year-old man that has the 18-year-old wife who they got pregnant in high school, had a little kid. So they got a 1-year-old kid at home, 18-year-old mom, 20-year-old dad. Mom and dad are pissed off at them because they didn't get married because they had a child out of wedlock. kicked the son, kicked the daughter out of the house, so they're on their own now. Now they're living in low-income housing with a high crime rate, and guess what? Marco Rubio is okay with that boy not being able to own a firearm to protect his family. He already can't get a handgun, so now they're proposing that he can't get an AR-15. And after today's shooting with a shotgun, believe me, tomorrow morning we're going to wake up and there's going to be legislation to ban all guns because now a shotgun of all things was used, and a revolver. The two guns that have never been attacked with all this anti-gun crap. There's always been handguns and AR-15s, and now all of a sudden a revolver and a shotgun were used, so every gun is going to be involved in that now. So that's what tells me that Marco Rubio does not really care about people either. He's just like the politicians on the left. He's simply trying to get reelected. It's sad, guys. It's freaking sad. You know, we're the ones out here with the heart and the compassion, and we really want what's best for this country. I have a video out. I'm sure some of you guys have seen it, and I'm not trying to promote the video, but look, yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, I really recommend you guys go look at it. I did a lot of research to try to figure out because I care. I care about all these kids that are having problems and all the issues out there with what's going on in the world. I care enough that I did my own research, and I truly found, of course, guns are not the problem. We all know that. That's kind of common sense. But it points to fatherless homes. Look, I'm not saying every fatherless home is creating mass killers. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have a combination of fatherless homes. You have throw into the mix that these kids that are being bullied, and not just kids are looking the other way, but parents and teachers are looking the other way. In fact, some parents actually take part in the bullying, all right? So again, you got fatherless homes, you have bullying, and the worst one of all, over-medicating these kids. Every single mind and mood altering drug out there, whether it's a Ritalin or an Adderall or any of those other drugs like that, every one of them has this massive list of side effects. And every one of them includes depression, being bipolar, suicidal, aggressive behavior. They all have that as a side effect. Every one of them, not some of them. All these mood-altering drugs have all these same side effects. So now we've thrown all of this into a big giant pot. I'm not even going to address the video games, which this kid that just shot up this Texas school was a big video game proponent. I'm not even going to mention that, where they glorify shooting people. Fatherless homes, over-medicating the kids, and bullying them. That's the problem. And I created a video that shows that, and nobody from the left, I have sent it to all these major publications, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody does, because it doesn't fit their narrative. They don't want to hear the real root cause, because honestly, if they have to address it, they're talking about this opioid problem right now. You know what? Look, I'm going to tell you something. Adults, in many cases, we have the right to make our own choices. Now, I'm not saying that, and if any of you guys out there are hooked on opioids, I'm not trying to dog you out. But at some point, you had to say so in that. These children that are being medicated and over-medicated, in many cases, they don't have a say in that. They don't have a say in their parents staying together. So as far as the fatherless homes, they have no say in that. As far as being bullied, believe me, they would much rather not be bullied. So they don't have a say in that. And they absolutely don't have a say in being medicated. These parents are taking these kids to these doctors, or they're listening to these teachers that are telling them your kid needs to be medicated because I can't handle him in class. And then these parents are getting these medications from these physicians, and they're I would say forcing them, but the kids, look, a lot of kids still listen to their parents. So these kids are taking these medications because their parents are telling them to, and we're over-medicating these kids. Those kids don't have a choice in that. As far as this opioid addiction, those adults have a choice in that. They're choosing to take those opioids. I'm more worried about these kids that are being over-medicated. Why aren't we looking at this? Why are we not asking Congress to look at why we're over-medicating kids? Why are we creating these zombies throughout their school years? You don't even recognize these kids because of their personalities. They're so warped from these medications. Go look at it. Go do the research on it. It's really sad to see how easily these kids are being medicated and nobody cares about it. And then we wonder why these kids don't have personalities. They don't want to go outside and play. They just want to sit inside in the dark. Oh my God, they're over-medicated. They feel like zombies. They don't want to do anything that we did whenever we were little. So the left is really ignoring the problems, and the right is too. Marco Rubio could give two rats' asses about what I've got to say about kids that are over-medicated and bullied and in fatherless homes. Marco doesn't care about that. That's why he ran his mouth saying that he'd be okay, or at least listen to the fact that he's willing to listen to the proposals to limit kids from being, or say kids, adults from buying guns who are under the age of 21. Marco doesn't care about us. So guys, it's just sad to me to think of all this like this, because I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm actually, and I always have been, a glass half full kind of guy. That's always been me. And, you know, I feel like whenever I have to talk about topics like this, I become kind of glass half empty, you know, if you know what I mean. Let's see, 7:40 right now. I know I've been running my mouth, guys. I'm going to scroll back through here. Let's remember how we talked about before. If you guys will do an @LegallyArmedAmerica to ask me a question, I will try to address it, because it shows up like this right here in my feed. If you can see right where my thumb is, shows up in orange right there, like right where my thumb is. So it makes it easier for me to pick it out. Let's see. John Smith says, you're right. Guns are not the problem. If Clinton assault weapons ban in place today, it would not have prevented Santa Fe. Absolutely. It would not have. Not one bit. And some of what you're talking about, guys, I've missed the context of what was being said, so I apologize if I'm skimming over that. We must keep control of the Senate. Man, I hope so, but I mean, it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough. I mean, really, we lose midterms all the time. Maybe a Trump push will help as we get closer to those elections. Did you know that Donald Trump Jr. went to a gun show in Texas earlier this year? No, I didn't know that, Daniel Waters. I just didn't. Let's see. Daniel also says, let's see the government come and try to take our guns. Yeah, you know, I don't think the government will ever get to that point, because I do think the government realizes what would happen. You're already seeing it, you know, where certain things are supposed to be now banned. These people are not turning their stuff in, you know, they're just not doing it. Not many people who are truly pro-gun are going to fall for anti-gun people telling them to voluntarily give their stuff up. It's just not something pro-gun people are usually accustomed to doing. I don't see that happening. Yeah, Big Mo says this, and I look, man, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know people always kind of say that before they say something that sounds conspiracy theorisy. But Big Mo says, seems like it's almost planned using a revolver and a shotgun this time. It does, man. I mean, you know, we've come to the point where we expect the attacks against the AR-15. Kind of the handguns too, but mostly the AR-15. The AR-15 has a huge target on its back. And when I heard today that the shotgun was used and a revolver, I was like, oh my God, you know, what next? Are they going to take a spear in there? You know, they're going to take everything else that's not been discussed that could be used as a weapon and now use it so that we can ban everything? You know, it just looks like a blatant attempt to disarm us. It's crazy, you know. I don't think that there was a concerted effort to do this. I really don't. I think it was more of a coincidence. But come on, man. I mean, it sure has the optics of looking extremely suspicious. I don't know, man. It's just frustrating. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel again says, it's also because we don't teach our kids the value of human life. You know, that's the only real complaint. I'm not one. I consider myself an extremely responsible person. I'm responsible for my own actions. When I screw up, I take accountability for it. The left does not do that. The left has never done that. The left has always blamed everybody else, including when somebody is poor, but they don't work and they sit on their ass. They blame everybody else and say, oh, poor, you know, Bill over there, he's broke. And I know he doesn't have a job, and I know he's not looking for a job, but golly, he's really broke and he's really poor. We should do something for him. You know, I'd like to say, yeah, I would like to do something for him. I would like to give him an application so he can find a job. Very little accountability on the left. Sadly, we're passing that down to our kids. We're allowing our kids to grow up in an unaccountable world. Think about it this way, and this is one way to look at it. Tell me we're not grooming a bunch of anti-gun kids out there. When a child sees one of his classmates go get a gun and kill 10 people with it, and he turns the TV on because you know they're all watching TV right now. He turns the TV on and all he hears is people saying how we need to ban guns. The kid's thinking, wow, that's not really what I was thinking. I was kind of thinking the kid had a problem. But guns are the problem? So we're showing these kids at a very young age that it's okay to go shoot a school up, because you're never really going to be held accountable, because we're going to blame the gun for making you a bad person. So this boy that shot those 10 people today, or killed the 10 people, shot 20, I believe. What if he came out tomorrow? I mean, think about it, guys. What if he came out tomorrow and gave a statement and said, I'm really not the kind of person to kill people. I wouldn't normally have done this, but my dad left his shotgun and his revolver laying around, and I just felt like I needed to grab it, and I felt the need to go kill people because these are weapons of war, and these are, a gun is only made, it's only built to kill somebody. So when I got these weapons of war in my hand, I just felt the need to go kill somebody with these weapons of war. You don't think the left would like to hear that? How would that be received? So we've got kids out there who are watching this whole thing, and you know when a child turns the TV on, he's not expecting to see people giving this kid a pass and blaming a gun. These kids are turning the TV on expecting people to say, this kid was no good, and that he had problems, and blah, 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 you know, his parents should have done this. No, they're turning the TV on saying, what are we going to do about guns? We need to do something about guns. Guns are the problem. If we don't do something about guns, this is just going to continue. And you got a kid sitting back scratching his head going, damn, that's not what I saw. That's not what I was thinking. But okay, if that's how it works, you know, darn guns, you know, ban the guns. We're teaching our kids to be stupid and unaccountable. It's pathetic, y'all. I mean, it's really pathetic. I'm so sickened because, man, I know we always say common sense is not common these days, but God dang, common sense is gone. It's gone. I survived this long in my life off of common sense. How do these people survive with no common sense? Brandon says they won't get the gun confiscation. They'll just keep making it harder and harder to own guns. Absolutely. Ammunition, you're saying all the same stuff I've said before, dude. Ammunition taxes, store location restrictions, home safe requirements. Look, I'm going to tell y'all right now, expect this. This shooting, this kid, they can't go after the age thing, all right? Let me draw this conclusion real quick. The shooter in the Parkland shooting was 18, I believe, 18 or 19. He was old enough to buy an AR-15, and he bought an AR-15. So what's the easy thing at that point for the anti-gun people to do? Oh, he was 18 and legally bought this gun? Let's ban 18-year-olds from being able to buy AR-15s anymore. In this case, this was a 17-year-old who did not buy a gun. He took them from his father. So the left is thinking, okay, we can't ban AR-15s because he didn't use one. We can't ban semi-automatics because technically he didn't use a semi-automatic handgun or rifle, even though the shotgun may have been. I don't know if the shotgun was semi-automatic. The revolver's not a semi-automatic. It's a revolver. Dang, what can we ban? How can we hit these guns? I've got it. We need to pass a law making it mandatory like California and some other states have done to where you have to lock your gun up. No matter what it's for, where you live, or how bad the crime rate is in your area, we need to pass a law that says that your gun has to be locked in one location and your ammunition has to be locked in a totally separate location, separate from one another. That's what's next. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you will see something out there. They're already talking about criminally prosecuting the dad for allowing his gun to be accessible from his son. Let me tell you something. When I grew up, I had access to every single gun, loaded or unloaded, that my dad or my mom both had. I never shot a school up. It's got nothing to do with the gun being locked up. Again, we're trying to avoid the real problem. Look, Before that boy ever went for that unlocked up gun, before that kid ever went for that shotgun or that revolver, something else had happened in his life. Why aren't we trying to figure out what that something else was? Why are we trying to say, all right, everything before that happened, we don't care about. We don't care about how he got from point A to point B. But he went from point B to point C, and that's all we care about. How stupid is that? How backwards of a thinking is that? How stupid. So now, if you make me lock my gun up, you don't think that that kid is going to find a way in there? If I want to go kill a whole bunch of people and you put a handgun in a little old safe next to the bed, I will be in that safe by lunchtime tomorrow. I can promise you that. Either with a crowbar, a grinder, or something, I will be into that safe. If my intent is to harm people with what's inside that safe, I will possess what's in that safe and do whatever I want with it by noon tomorrow. We forget, not we, and we're not forgetting, they ignore what happened before that point. Why are they not looking backwards? Why are they worried about that gun being locked up? Why won't they try to figure out why that punk went for the gun in the first place? That's where they ought to be looking, but they don't want to, because then they have to address bullying, over-medicating these kids, and they surely don't want to address single family parents, single parents. They don't want to address that because we glorify and incentivize parents for being welfare parents. I mean, it's not a secret. We give you extra money if you raise your child without two parents. If you're a single parent, you're going to receive an incentive. The government incentivizes you to be a single parent. So why get married? Why stay married? You get more money. So the government is giving prizes for not having two parents in a household. We're creating this problem, y'all. We just are. All right, guys, I'm sorry. Look, sometimes I go off on a tangent, but I mean, I'm passionate about this stuff, man. It's just not right. A lot of what we're dealing with today is fixable. I truly believe that. I do believe that we could end school shootings. I truly believe that. But we have to be honest with ourselves and take a long, hard look at some things that might be difficult for us to look at. Let's see. Oh, I know one thing I want to talk to you guys about. A couple of things. I have some cool stuff that I got. One thing I will say this: we have a brand new sponsor for. Let's see how much time we have left. Yeah, we got plenty of time. Brand new sponsor for our show. If you guys didn't know that we are on Fox 29 on the Fox network down here in Louisiana and Texas now. Kind of a cool thing. There's some neighbors going by. One of the cool things that I have, brand new sponsor. This is a company. The name of the company is called Victos. Very cool company. They make, even though this doesn't look like it, they make kind of like, I guess, kind of semi-tactical gear. Some tactical gear and some semi-tactical gear. But some very cool stuff. I'm actually wearing a pair of their green shoes right now of the same kind. You talk about comfortable. These are some massively comfortable shoes. I really like these. They are a new sponsor. I'm showing you these because I like them so much. They also have, if you're a glove kind of guy, these are probably, I'm actually going to use these whenever I use my flamethrower because they are flame retardant. These are some really nice gloves. They're made by Victos. It's pretty cool. They have little Velcro things you can put on the knuckles, and they send you the letters where you can change them out. But yeah, these are regular gloves. The knuckles are protected. You can see where they have the little things on the knuckles. The little piece right here where you can look at your watch. Say if it's winter and you're hunting outside and you still want to look at your watch, there's a hole inside there where you can look at them, look at it. This is a nice set of gloves. This is actually a set that I'm going to keep in my truck for work gloves. This is another set of Victos gloves. Really, really nice. They're actually small. These are larges, and I will say this: their sizes run a slight bit small, but this is a. You see, they have the little patches on there too that you can still put your personalized stuff. They have the flag, the don't tread on. Excuse me, the snake, the don't tread on me snake. I don't know if you can see it in the palm right there. That's pretty cool. The little don't tread on me snake. Multicam. These come in black also. These are nice gloves. Really like these. They actually have the grips on the front so you can hold your gun if you're using these in cold weather situations. Nice gloves. Victos, again, is the brand, guys. Let me show you on the shoe. You can see it better. Victos. I think if you go to victos.com, you'll see. full line of stuff. I mean, they got tactical pants, pretty cool shorts, all kinds of stuff like that. Great, great guys. Man, I was giddy today. In fact, there's a box over there that's going out to Chad in a little while. Mentioned them earlier, Drago Gear, great sponsors also to us. But this is kind of cool. I've got this in, and people are going to have mixed emotions about this. This is the Springfield Armory Saint. I know what you're thinking. Springfield did a no-no, did a really bad thing a year or two ago when them, along with Rock River Arms, supported some legislation that was kind of underhanded and crooked and dirty, that would have allowed them to continue to do some things in the state of Illinois that would have prevented smaller gun shops to be able to do. Springfield Armory got their butts handed to them very, very quick, and were pretty much humbled extremely fast. And they had a massive hole that they had to dig out of. They kind of vindicated themselves here recently whenever they basically cut Dick's Sporting Goods off. And Dick's Sporting Goods said that they were not going to be doing this or that, or selling black guns or AR-15s, and weren't going to sell guns to people under the age of 21. Springfield Armory stepped to the plate and said, well, guess what, Dick's? We're not going to sell you anything. We're not going to ship any guns to you. You won't get any more of our guns. Well, you know what? Dick's is a pretty big retailer of guns. Now, granted, they wouldn't be able to sell anything like this in the store, but, you know, Springfield Armory has a lot of other guns in their repertoire. And the fact that they were willing to do that means that they are going to miss out on some revenue. I know they're probably only doing that to save face from what happened to them 2 years ago, but they did do it. My point is, I'm going to allow somebody to change and make that change when a person does something for business reasons, because I don't think they were doing what they did a couple of years ago to be anti-gun. They were doing it to be greedy. They were doing it because of money. And they got called on it. They got caught. And I believe that they are trying to correct their ways, and they realize, look, we were doing this for money, but we can never do this again for money. I don't think they ever will. I don't think Springfield, I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just saying I think they realize real fast because of us the error of their ways, and I think they're trying to make right and make good on it. So kudos to them for doing that. Just by doing what they did with Dick's, to me, made a statement. Again, I'm not going out to try to, float their company and buy a bunch of Springfield products for that reason, but I'm not as anti-Springfield Armory as I was prior to that point. I do feel like they were making a statement, and even though it's probably a statement for a reason to save face, it's still a statement, and I support that. I'm okay with that. Let's see, guys, we got a couple of minutes left. It's 7:57. Let me see if you guys got anything y'all want to talk about. I like that, Daniel. Daniel Water says, back in the American Revolution, we taught our kids how to defend our houses with guns, but today we don't because guns kill. Yeah, we're creating pansies. Look, I want to let y'all know something real quick. And this is the first time I've talked about this publicly. I will mention this. Of course, you guys know that I wrote a book earlier this year, and the book was kind of a joke. I was doing that to test out a publisher because I'm writing a real book. My book that I'm writing, guys, is a book on how to raise boys to be men. We have gotten to the point where we tat our kids and we protect them and we don't allow them to grow up and be real men. And now I'll be immediately attacked because I'm not writing a book about how women should grow up and be powerful. Oh, blah, blah. Look, let me tell you something. I grew up in a home where the stronger parent in my family, and this is not a knock against my dad because my dad was a good dad. My mom was the strong one. My mom was the one that kicked ass. My mom was the one that when we did something wrong, we got an ass whipping from our mom, not my dad. My dad was like, whatever. My dad was easy going. My mom would beat the brakes off of you. So I grew up respecting women a lot, a lot. And my mom was a working woman. So don't give me this BS that I don't respect women. My problem is that we're trying to make our women be men, and they can't be, because I'm sorry, a woman will never be able to do the exact same thing a man can do, and a man can't give birth to a child. There's things a woman can do that a man can't. So I'm writing a book on how to raise a man and quit raising these freaking transsexual, choose what you want to be, figure out what you want to be. It's not it's not a mystery what you are when you grow up. You just look down and you can tell what you are. You know what I mean? You don't have to find yourself. Finding yourself, you look at your birth certificate and you can find yourself, guys. So I'm tired of the guys that are out there that are raising these kids or raising these boys to figure out what they want to be. That's part of the problem. We're not raising little men anymore. You know, we're raising these little candy ass kids and we're letting them find themselves. You know, we're buying them scarves for their 13th birthday because we're not sure if they need to have, you know, a slingshot or a Barbie doll. Anyway, my book is going to be really cool. I have some, if you guys don't know, you know, oh gosh, I don't even want to say the names yet because there's some things that are still in the works right now for the book, but it's going to be a really cool book, and I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for it to come out. I'm hoping it will be out this fall, just in time for the holidays, and I'm real proud of it. I mean, I've done a lot of work on it, and I think it's going to be cool. And you know what? It's going to be met with a lot of criticism because a lot of people that are in this whole vein of, you know, woman power and, you know, we need a woman president and all that kind of stuff. You know, we're teaching everyone that it's not cool to be a man anymore. And we're teaching people that you ought to be ashamed to be a man. That if you know, you wake up in the morning and throw a t-shirt and a pair of jeans on and some work boots, that you're too masculine for some reason. You're too much of a man. You're acting like you're too masculine. I got no problem with my son or anybody else's son being extremely masculine. I'm okay with that because you know why? I feel safer around your son if he's very masculine because I feel like if shit hits the fan, he's gonna whoop some ass, and that's what I want. I want to be around people like that. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. I don't mean to swear on here, guys, but it's important to me. You know, we need people. Those are our protectors, guys. It really is. I mean, we hear it all the time. You know, the reason why we've got guns is because the cops are 10 minutes away whenever you call them. I don't want some of these soy boys to be the ones that are living next door to me. I don't want my neighbor across the street to be a bunch of candy asses. I want them to know that if I'm the one in a bind, if I get in a bind in my driveway and I don't have my gun on me or something like that, that one of these guys is gonna look out their window and come run across the street and join it with me. I don't want them to look across the street and say, oh my God, you know, come out in their pink robe and go, Paul, I hope it's okay. You know, I want to be around people that are masculine, that don't mind being a man. So anyway, that's what my book is going to be about. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm actually very excited about it. It's going to be neat, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to take a look at it. Guys, I think it's time. Yeah, it's time for us to get out of here. Man, I'm going to scroll through y'all's stuff. I really like reading y'all stuff, and I just don't get a chance to go through it. I hope that our Jarrett's in here, and I see, let's see, Mr. F and H is in here. You know, we've got a couple of moderators in here that hopefully that's been helpful. I know before, whenever I go on these really long rants, that I don't always get a chance to read what you guys are talking about. So sometimes I miss these clowns that come in here and want to, you know, bully people or, you know, just say stupid things. So hopefully it's been a big help. And Jarrett and Mr. F and H, I appreciate you guys doing that for me. That is a huge help for me because I don't have to be as conscious of what's going on here in the feed. Guys, I'm putting a video out, if not tonight, tomorrow it will hit, about the benefit of having a AR-15 pistol with a support brace versus an SBR. It's a short video, 4 or 5 minutes, but I pretty much talk about the advantage of having one of these. So, I mean, hope you guys will take a look at that. I'll be uploading that. And it's probably tomorrow. I'm probably not going to have it tonight because I have some on-screen text that I need to put in there, and that's going to take me a little while to do that. So, anyway, it'll probably be tomorrow. Maybe I get it in tonight. I'm not sure. But, guys, I really, you know, it's a broken record for me. I always enjoy hanging out with you all. That's why I like to go in here. I mean, I really get a chance. If you'll notice, you see, I go back in here and I read through all these. You know, I read through all your comments, and it's interesting to me. I like to know how you guys are thinking, what you're feeling, and all that good stuff. So, look, you guys, it's Friday night here. It's 8:04 on a Friday night in Louisiana. If you're going out tonight, like I've always said, be careful, be safe, watch your back, be aware of your surroundings, If you're drinking, please be careful and let somebody else drive, because I want to see you guys back here next Friday. And look, guess what? We're 200 and something subscribers away from being 100,000 subscribers. I know we talked about it last week, but we're literally 200 and something subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Look, if you guys don't mind, can you share one of our videos, or share our channel on YouTube or something? Share it on your Facebook pages, your Twitter pages, your Instagram pages. You know, maybe take a screenshot or something like that, and just tell your buddies and your friends and your family to go subscribe to us. Because boy, if we could get over that hump and get to 100,000, that's going to be kind of cool. I mean, I'm excited about it. You know, it's funny because those first 99,000 don't seem as cool as these last ones to get over that hump. So if y'all get a chance, I'd really appreciate it. You know, put us over that hump. Again, just share the channel or maybe a video and ask your friends and your family to go subscribe to us. That'd be a big help. I'd really appreciate that. Guys, have a great weekend. Again, have a safe weekend. Again, be aware of your surroundings. Watch out for some of these clowns out there. And look, don't get sucked into these arguments too bad online about the school shooting and all that. Try to be respectful. You know, that's always, let's try to be the bigger person. I think it's important that we get our point across, but at the same time, do it as civil as we possibly can. Because once you start to shout and use curse words and things like that, everybody ignores you. So if we can stay respectful about it, I think people will at least hear what we're saying. They may not listen, but they'll at least hear what we're saying. And maybe we can convert somebody that's maybe in the middle. So guys, again, have a great weekend. We will see you guys next week. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.